After a rough start, Bryce Elder puts together another quality start for the Atlanta Braves, while Michael Harris gets another clutch hit, and the bottom of the order continues to do work in this Braves lineup. We'll discuss all that on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at Shortstop Ball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X and Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button of over 13,000 subscribers on YouTube now. And while you're there, go ahead and hit that like button on this video and leave me a comment down below. If you're listening on the audio version, you can help out by leaving me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. On today's podcast, we're going to break down Monday's win over the Colorado Rockies. We'll also spotlight the minor league level this on today's podcast, highlighting all the top performances down there, and we'll set you up for Tuesday's game against the Colorado Rockies. Who's going to pitch? I don't know. Maybe I'm going to pitch. We'll see what happens. It's on Tuesday in Colorado. Well, this episode is brought to you by the Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Well, the Atlanta Braves continue to win out west, which is what you would like them to do against a team like the Colorado Rockies. A 6-3 win. Got off to a bit of a rough start, falling behind 3-0, but able to score 6 unanswered and get the win on Monday night, which is obviously great to see for this Atlanta Braves team to be able to continue to come back like that. Even though it was an early deficit, still it's another comeback win for this Atlanta Braves team. Bryce Elder on the mound, and I know you were thinking it. I know I was thinking it as well. As soon as he gives up that 3-run home run in the first inning, you're thinking this is going to be a disastrous start for Bryce Elder. But credit to him. He really settled in after that. He goes 6 innings. That's all he allows are those 3 runs in the first inning, which were on a 3-run home run from Hunter Goodman. And he ends his night going 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned runs, 4 strikeouts on 90 pitches. And back-to-back quality starts now for Bryce Elder. And again, not against the best opponents in the world, but you were facing a Cardinals team that I thought was, swinging the bat really well. It was an early morning game. The Braves didn't exactly swing it well in that one either. And now you're facing a Rockies lineup that's not really good, but you are in Coors Field. And so for him to be able to work through that and bounce back after a rough first inning and give you 6 innings and keep it right there, really impressive stuff from Bryce Elder. In this one, really focused on the sinker slider primarily, which are his 2, primary pitches that he'll throw. But really, I thought did a good job of mixing those up and locating them, getting that sinker down and into righties, that slider down and away as well to right-handed pitcher or right-handed hitters. So, that's the key. That is what we always talk about with Bryce Elder. Can he keep those pitches at the bottom of the zone, and can he land them on the edges? He got some chase with those pitches in this one. Really, I thought noteworthy, and Lindsay pointed this out on the postcast, got 12 called strikes with that sinker, which tells me he was able to locate it, throw it in the zone, and get those called strikes with that pitch, which is key for him. Another thing that he did in the Cardinals start that didn't quite see it as much in this one, and I talked a lot about it after that start, is being able to locate that 4-seamer at the top of the zone. I think just gives the batter another quadrant that they have to protect against. He did it a little bit in this one, but not quite as much as in that Cardinal start. I really think the focus in this one just became that sinker and slider combination, and he was locating them really well. 9 hard hit balls in this one is a lot, but a couple of them at least were, batted into the ground, which is what you want for Bryce Elder. And as always, when I talk about a Bryce Elder start, I'm looking at the ground outs, 8 ground outs in this one. And that's exactly what you want from him. You want to get those ground balls. And so back-to-back starts now from Bryce Elder, making things work exactly the way that they need to for him, keeping that sinker and that slider down, being able to locate that 4-seamer at the top of the zone, being able to get those ground balls, being efficient. And when those ground balls going to gloves, Bryce Elder can be, a decent back of the rotation pitcher. We'll see how long it can keep up. I think his next start might come against the Dodgers. So we'll see how that goes. But either way, he's given you 2 really good starts against some opponents that you're hoping he can handle, and he did. So got to give him some credit there. As far as the bullpen in this one, Snicker goes Pierce Johnson, Daysbel Hernandez, and Raisel Iglesias with a 3-run lead. Interesting for the Pierce Johnson move there. Not that it was Pierce Johnson, but the fact that Brian Snitker hasn't really seemed to trust Pierce Johnson a lot this year in those higher leverage situations. He had Dylan Lee up and ready to go. I think he could have gone either way there. Obviously, I trust Dylan Lee more, but maybe he was just wanting to save Dylan Lee for a big moment in the game. But he had Dylan Lee ready to back up Pierce Johnson should he have gotten in trouble, but he didn't. And then you go to Daysbel Hernandez, who did get in a little bit of trouble, but nobody was up to back up him, which I think tells you the confidence that he has in Daysbel right now. And Daysbel does work out of it. There's some big pitches, got a big slider right under the bat of Michael Toglia for a strikeout. And then Iglesias comes on and finishes it off in the 9th inning. Quick inning, looks more like Iglesias, but still you look at the pitches thrown, that he left a couple of changeups that were too high up in the zone. So I'm not quite ready to label Iglesias back after just one outing. I still am going to need to see more from him, but at least he was able to get it done with minimal issues. He did give up the double to Amador on a fastball in that he just did a good job getting to and rifling it out to center field. Thought it was going to be gone, but off the wall. But the bullpen, gets it done. No real risk there in the final innings. As far as the offense in this one, 6 runs on 14 hits. Honestly, kind of look back and feel like they should have done more in this game. You'll certainly take the 6 runs, especially in a win like this, but 14 hits, I feel like they probably could have done more damage than that. Only 7 hard hit balls. This was the Braves got some batted ball luck that they've been deserving for a while. This is also the thing we don't talk about a lot with Coors Field. You think of Coors Field as being, this big home run friendly ballpark. But the other thing about Coors Field is it's such an expansive outfield that you're going to get a lot of these bloop hits like this. And the Braves took advantage. And look, credit to them. They at least put the ball in play. Only 7 strikeouts in this one. Like I said, my kind of drawing line for strikeouts that I look at is 8. If they get, fewer than 8 strikeouts, I feel pretty good about the offense's performance of putting the ball in play. And they did that in this one, only striking out 7 times, only 2 walks. But still, with 14 hits and 2 walks, you're going to score a good number of runs, and they are able to get 6 in this one, but just 2 extra base hits in those 14 hits. So like I said, weren't exactly crushing the baseball in this game, but they were finding some holes. The wind was a factor. It aided in a couple of hits in there. And then the bottom of the order, Eli White, Nick Allen, Michael Harris, not in that order, but they combined to go 6 for 12. Michael Harris had another huge hit, second time on this road trip already that he's come up in a clutch situation. Had a good at bat in this one. I think it was like an 8-pitch at bat. He gets a pitch that he can handle, and he drives it 111 miles per hour off the bat into the right center field gap to score Ozzie all the way to first, Murphy in front of him. So just good stuff there from Michael Harris in the bottom of this order. And then the speed. Again, I've talked about it a lot this season and talked about it a lot last year, just the lack of it. But now they actually have some, and it is making a difference. You saw it in this game. You had back-to-back instances where Eli White and Nick Allen have some accidental bunts, and they're able to beat it out at first base and score a run off that and put a big inning together. You saw a couple of stolen bases in this one. You did see Nick Allen get caught stealing. It was a terrible jump by him. He's not exactly the best base stealer. He does have some speed, but I've noticed his jumps are a little lacking, and that's something he has to work on. But I don't mind the aggressiveness, and he tried to steal a base later. It was a 3-2 count. Almost got picked off once, but he does try to steal a base then, and it leads to a hit because the shortstop covering the bag wasn't there for that ball, that pop-up that just landed like right at the shortstop position because he had no idea where it was. So you saw the speed element of this lineup with Michael Harris, Nick Allen, and Eli White at the bottom of the order, and what it's able to do and how it's able to impact the game, and why I've been pushing for this type of lineup at the bottom of the order, just because it gives you a different element to put pressure on the opposing pitcher and pressure on the opposing team. And you've seen that play out. You saw it play out in this game. You've seen it play out in this series. You saw it in Arizona as well, where Eugenio Suarez had to rush his throw with Eli White at the plate, made a bad throw there. So just having that speed at the bottom of the order is a big difference maker for this lineup. Now, the Braves did go 5 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Again, kind of would have liked to seen a couple more hits in those spots to really pad the lead there, but again, they do enough to get it done. Matt Olson and Austin Riley were trying out torpedo bats in this one. I don't know that we necessarily saw the best results. Still some bad swings from Austin Riley in this game. Everybody did have a hit in this one. When he got 14 hits, that's usually going to be the case. So that's good to see. But still, I thought the middle of the order was a bit lacking in this one, and probably where you should have seen the Braves do more damage. But overall, a good performance from the offense, another good performance from them, putting the ball in play, racking up 14 hits. I mean, how can you call that a bad performance? But to me, the key still right now is just that bottom of the order and what Eli White and Nick Allen and Michael Harris are able to do right now with their speed and getting on base and setting up those guys at the top. Verdugo, continues to have some professional at bats. He had a good hit in this one to drive in a run. So that real stretch in the order right now has become a pretty dangerous combination for the Atlanta Braves. All right, next we'll turn our attention to the minor league level. We'll recap you up on everything that happened last week down on the farm, and then we'll set you up for Tuesday's game where still don't know who's pitching. Maybe we'll get a update here during the podcast, but next we'll get into our minors spotlight. We'll do that here next. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no-shell variety. Got a bag right here that you can see. That's what I grab and go when I'm on the go, whether we're on vacation or I'm headed to drop off the kids at school. It's just easy to pick them up. My son was eating some the other day on the way to his baseball practice, so it's just very convenient for me, and I love the no-shell variety because my kid doesn't make an absolute mess in the car when he's eating them. But if you love to crack open every shell for that satisfying crunch, they have the in-shell options as well, the classic favorite there. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. So again, whether you're running between meetings, dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios are a snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen, solely keeping you up to date with everything happening around Major League Baseball, as well as the guys over at MLB Game Night. So make sure you subscribe to Locked On MLB and go check them out after you're done here. Now, it is our Minors Spotlight segment. Going to recap on everything that happened last week at the minor league level as they get ready for a new week starting on Tuesday. Down at Gwinnett, rough week for the Gwinnett Stripers. They go 0-6 against Jacksonville, the Marlins AAA affiliate. Hitters, you had Carlos Rodriguez, 7 for 25, a home run, no walk, 6 strikeouts, and a stolen base. You wonder why the Braves picked up Eddie Rosario, which we'll talk about later, but the outfield depth not exactly looking great at the minor league level. I do like Carlos Rodriguez. I think he could be a solid 4th, 5th outfielder at some point. Brian De La Cruz went 5 for 23 walks and 7 strikeouts. Adis Leonard went 4 for 22, a double and 2 home runs. Not a lot offensively at really the AAA or AA level, like we'll talk about next. But at the pitching level at AAA, Nathan Wiles, 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, 6 strikeouts. AJ Smith-Shawver went just 3 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts. Again, we'll see if they give him the opportunity to start on Tuesday or not. The fact they haven't said anything yet kind of makes me think they're just going to go with a bullpen game, but we'll see what happens there. Dylan Dodd, 2 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, 4 strikeouts. Maybe he's starting to figure things out in a reliever role. Jordan Weems, I think, might be next man up. I know Craig Kimbrell will probably, whenever he's ready, he's going to get the call, but Jordan Weems has thrown the ball pretty well. He was my favorite at the beginning of spring training until they made some additional signings. But Jordan Weems, 3 innings, 2 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 4 strikeouts this past week. Domingo Gonzalez, 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. Hurston Waldrop, 4 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 walks, 2 earned, and just 3 strikeouts. It's not been the great start to the season that Hurston Waldrop was hoping for, and you just wonder, how long do you go with this before you make the move and put him in a bullpen role? Doesn't have to be forever, but just to try to get him locked in and focused at an inning at a time. Can you just focus on an inning at a time? And how does that affect Hurston Waldrop? I know they don't want to give up on a first-round pick like that as a starter that has high potential, but we're just not seeing the improvement that we need to see from Hurston Waldrop. It is just 1 month in, but it's not that. It's, it's a year and a month. It's going back to his college career. It's the same thing with Hurston Waldrop. So at what point do the Braves decide to make that transition and see what he can do in the bullpen. As for Craig Kimbrell, 3 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, and 2 strikeouts last week. The fastball velocity was at 93.3 miles per hour in his last outing, just 1 swing and miss. So while the results for the most part have been good for Craig Kimbrell, the stuff hasn't been quite as dominant as we've seen in the past, which obviously it's an aging pitcher on the last leg of his career, but we'll see if that keeps them from bringing up Craig Kimbrell if they don't think the stuff is just quite good enough for the major league level right now. Let's move down to Columbus, where they go 2-4 this week. So a rough week for Columbus against Chattanooga, which is the Reds AA affiliate. You look at the hitters from last week to highlight, and there's really nobody. It was a rough week offensively for Columbus. David McKay went 4 for 15, a double and 4 walks. Cody Milligan had 2 doubles and a home run along with 4 walks, and that's about it offensively. Now on the pitching side, Landon Harper, 6 1/3 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 7 strikeouts, has been really good so far this season. Giancarlo Lara, 2 1/3, 6 hits, 1 walk, 6 earned, 7 strikeouts. So he got 4 outs, all on strikeouts. And it's the same thing with Hurston Waldrop as Lara. At what point do you decide, okay, let's just make this guy a reliever where his dominant stuff can play up in a short stint? You know, he's a little bit younger than Hurston Waldrop. Maybe you don't have to quite make that decision yet for him, but I think we are getting even closer to that territory with Giancarlo Lara. Lucas Braun, another solid outing, 5 2/3, 7 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. I think he's possibly next man up. He certainly is working his way into that pecking order behind AJ Smith-Shawver. Blake Burkhalter, 4 innings, 6 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned, 4 strikeouts. Didier Fuentes got moved up to AA. Rough first outing for him at AA, 2 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned, and 4 strikeouts. Drew Hackenberg had a disastrous start, 4 innings, 10 hits, 2 walks, 7 earned, and 3 strikeouts. Roldy Munoz looked good out of the bullpen, 2 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. Hayden Harris, 2 innings, 1 hit, did hit a batter, no walks, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. And Ellison Joseph, an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, no walks. He also hit a batter, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. So the bullpen arms there at AA are looking pretty good. Roldy Munoz, Hayden Harris, Ellison Joseph, all pretty good arms. And then you throw in the fact that you couldn't move a Hurston Waldrop and Giancarlo Lara to the bullpen. And suddenly it looks like this Braves system is starting to develop some solid bullpen arms that could have an impact for them, as soon as this year. Now, the starting pitching side of things, it's really Lucas Braun right now. Blake Burkhalter had been good until this start, but you're not quite getting the development at the upper level with some of these arms that you were hoping to see improve. And again, it's the first month of the season. Don't want to overreact too much, but I do think there are some solid bullpen arms that are coming up for the Atlanta Braves that could have an impact this season. For the Rome Emperors, they go 4-2 this past week against Winston-Salem, the White Sox affiliate. They won a game 16-10 on Saturday, so you should see some pretty impressive offensive numbers here. Lisandro Espinosa, the Braves' Rule 5 pick in the minor league portion, continues to have a good season. He goes 8 for 23 this past week, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 4 walks, and 3 stolen bases. Bryson Horn goes 8 for 21 with 3 doubles, 2 home runs, and a walk. EJ Exposito, who returns from injury, hadn't played since April the 9th, comes back, hits for a cycle in that crazy Saturday game, and overall goes 4 for 8 in 2 games with a double, triple, and a homer. Ambioris Tavares, just 2 for 16 this past week. He did walk 6 times, but he struck out 11 times. So strikeouts came back to haunt Tavares in this one, who had been swinging the bat a lot better and had cut down on those strikeouts, but was a step backwards for him this past week. On the pitching side at Rome, Riley Frey, 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, 8 strikeouts, not done with him. Ryan Barraza had 2 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. Adam Mayer had maybe his best professional start. Goes 7 innings, 5 hits, does walk 3, but just 1 earned run and 5 strikeouts. J.R. Ritchie, I got to watch a little bit of this one last Tuesday. 6 2/3, 3 hits, no walks, did hit a batter, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts, but he looked really good in that one. And then Garrett Ballman had his best start of the season, 6 innings, 3 hits, no walks. He hit a batter. No, everybody's hitting batters this past week, but no earned runs for Garrett Ballman and 3 strikeouts. And then Corey Wall, 3 innings, no hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 1 strikeout. So some good pitching performances there. And then finally at Augusta, they go 5-1 this past week against Delmarva, which is the Orioles affiliate. John Gill starting to get on track. Mentioned that last week, but he continues to get better. 9 for 23 this past week with a double, 2 walks, and 6 stolen bases. Owen Carey, a name that you probably need to pay more attention to. He's 8 for 24 with 3 doubles, a home run, 8 RBI, 2 walks, and 2 stolen bases. Eric Hartman, 5 for 23, a double, 2 walks, and 4 stolen bases. Those top 3 in the Augusta lineup right now are some pretty interesting bats for the Atlanta Braves. I think they have the potential to be some really good hitters in the system, and John Gill, Owen Carey, and Eric Hartman. So again, keep an eye on those 3 there at Augusta. And then Douglas Glad had a good week as well, 4 for 12, 2 doubles, a homer, and 5 walks. And then on the pitching side at Augusta, Luke Sennard, 4 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 8 strikeouts. Brett Sears struck out 7 batters in 3 1/3 innings. Owen Hackman went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned with 6 strikeouts. Luis Aristegueta went 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, 1 hit batter, and 5 strikeouts. And then Riley Frey, I told you we weren't done with him. He began the week at Augusta and went 5 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, no earned, 4 strikeouts, got called up and was even better at Rome. So a big week there for Riley Frey. And then Ethan Bagwell had a good start, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 1 strikeout. So those are your minor league standouts from the past week. Some good stuff happening there on the pitching side. I mentioned, especially at the lower levels, you've got some arms that are impressing, some bats as well on Lisandro Espinosa, Gill, Carey, Hartman, Exposito coming back and having a big week. So you got some interesting bats there. David McCabe seems to be coming along after missing a lot of last season with injury. So certainly looking forward to seeing where this goes at the minor league level for some of these players. It's always exciting to see these guys develop down on the farm, but excited to see a lot of bats that are improving. The Braves need more of those in the system coming up. So good to see that. Next, we will get into some of the news of the day and preview the game on Tuesday, where it is TBD versus German Marquez. We'll preview that game here next. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So if you're into the NBA playoffs, you can see all that over at FanDuel.com. Or if you're like me, you're not really paying attention to it at all. You are all in on baseball season. They have World Series odds out there, division odds, awards odds, everything you can see right there at FanDuel.com. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way that you play. But don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Let's start with the news from the day because there was a good bit of it on Monday morning. You had the Braves add Ian Anderson to the roster, which we knew was going to happen after they claimed him off waivers. And we were pretty sure it was going to be Davis Daniel who got optioned back down. And that was the case. I think the Braves were somewhat not hoping, because obviously you wanted Bryce Elder to have a good outing on Monday, but I think the Braves are probably anticipating that he might not, and that you would need some length out of your bullpen. So you bring in Ian Anderson to give you that. If it is going to be AJ Smith-Shawver that gets called up to start on Tuesday, I got to imagine it's still Ian Anderson that gets DFA'd. I don't know who else you're taking off of this team right now, unless it's Rafael Montero. I don't think you can do that to Blewett, who's throwing the ball really well. So I do think Ian Anderson could still be let go from this roster if they decide to go with AJ Smith-Shawver on Tuesday. But again, we're still waiting that announcement, as it's almost 10 a.m. Eastern here as I'm recording. We are still waiting for that announcement as who's going to start on Tuesday. Surprising sign, and the Braves bring in Eddie Rosario on a major league deal and option Jared Kelenic. Now, the Jared Kelenic part of this makes sense, and I honestly called for it a week or two ago. Send him down to AAA. Let him play every day. He doesn't deserve those at-bats at the major league level right now. But if you have any hope of him turning things around, getting on track, having some sort of impact for the Braves, or any type of impact in a trade, you got to get him playing every day and getting those reps and seeing if he can make those adjustments. So it just makes a lot of sense to move him down. As for Eddie Rosario, I think he's here for the vibes, and I think he's here to fill a roster spot until Acuna is ready. I would be surprised if Eddie Rosario gets a ton of at-bats before Acuna is back. And speaking of Acuna, Brian Singer said there's no update on him, which is a bit, I want to say, worrisome. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong in his rehab, but I was hopeful at this point that we would see some sort of mention of a rehab assignment happening soon, but we haven't yet, which makes me think maybe it is going to be more mid-May. I was hopeful for early May, but at this point, he hasn't begun a rehab assignment. I would imagine he's going to need several games. He's going to need to play in the field in back-to-back games before he returns. So you're probably looking at at least a week-long rehab stint for Acuna before he's able to return. And we haven't even got notice of that assignment yet. So again, probably looking more like mid-May for Ronald. So you go out and get Eddie Rosario, give you a left-handed bat off the bench. He was swinging the bat well at AAA. He was slashing 339, 406, 542 with 6 doubles, 2 homers, 8 walks to 16 strikeouts, 3 stolen bases. But for me, we've been trying to get away from the just dreadful, awful at-bats that this lineup has. And Eddie Rosario, while he can be hot at times, he gives you some of the worst at-bats you've ever seen. So again, I don't know how much playing time we'll actually see from Eddie Rosario, but you bring back a familiar face and a guy that everybody loves in the clubhouse, and you just kind of put him on that bench as the 26th man until Acuna is ready, and you send Jared Kelenic down to give him an opportunity to hopefully get on track. As part of this move, the Braves did have to DFA Zach Thompson, so they lose a long reliever there. We'll see if they're able to keep him in the organization. Now, previewing the game on Tuesday, we still don't know who's starting for the Atlanta Braves. It's most likely going to be A.J. Smith-Shawver or some sort of bullpen game where you're throwing Ian Anderson out there, see how long he can give you, maybe follow it up with Blewett, and then piece things together from there. I don't love that idea, but I think that is one way that the Braves could go if it's not going to be an A.J. Smith-Shawver. German Marquez, though, going for the Rockies. We know that. Take the over in this game. Certainly do so responsibly, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of runs scored on Tuesday, between what the Braves might potentially throw out there and German Marquez, who has 5 games started this year, a 9.30 ERA, a 2.02 whip, 20 and a third innings. He's walked 11. He's only struck out 14. He was great in his first start of the year, which came against Philly. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, no walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. But since then, he's given up 4 runs, 6 runs, 7 runs, and 6 runs. So it has been a rough go for German Marquez lately. You're in Coors Field. The 30-year-old has thrown just 44 and a third innings over the last 3 years due to injury. So still trying to work his way back. He did have a decent stretch for Colorado by Colorado standards from 2017 to 2021. So it's been in there in the past. But again, 30 years old, hasn't thrown a lot over the last 3 years due to injuries, and it's been a really rough go for him lately. So this Braves offense has another opportunity to put some big numbers on the board, and let's hope that's the case because, again, don't know exactly what the Braves are going to be throwing out there. So this could be a high-scoring game. Who can get to double-digit runs first? That could be what we're looking at on Tuesday between the Braves and the Rockies as the Braves try to get another win on this West Coast trip, win another series, and if they can get a sweep of it, they still have a chance to get back to 500, which is incredible after the start they had to this season. We'll see if the Braves can get it done there in Colorado and keep this losing streak going for the Rockies as well, as they've dropped 7 in a row. Well, that would do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me on today's podcast. Make sure you follow us on social media at shortstopball, at LockedOn_Braves on X, and Locked On Braves on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube if you're new, hit the thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below. And make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we will talk to you next time.